Becoming Catholic is something that I had never conceived of. Literally not one time in my entire life had the thought pass through my brain. A gentleman in my congregation came to me. I'd been a Protestant evangelical minister for about 8 years at the time. And he said to me that he had been debating with this Catholic organization in San Diego called Catholic Answers. He said, they've sent me a lot of material, much of it's over my head. The gist was, I'm wondering if you could read some of this, Pastor, and show me where the Catholics are wrong. And I said, of course. He said, this is where he dropped the bomb. He said, they've also sent me a set of tapes by someone named Scott Hahn called Answering Common Objections Against the Catholic Faith. Well, at that point, I basically went nuts because Scott Hahn is someone who had been a friend of mine some years before, hadn't talked to him in years, but I immediately thought, there's no way on earth, this cannot be Scott Hahn. So I said, where are those tapes? And he said, don't worry, Pastor, I'll bring them next week. To which I responded, no, where do you live? I'm following you home right now. And I did. I got in my car and followed him home. He got the tapes. He gave them to me. I remember still walking outside. I looked at that case under the street lamp and saw Scott's face, and I just could not believe it. Drove home 120 miles an hour, sat down, put in tape number 1, a Protestant minister becomes Catholic, and I listened to it. At first, I would have to say I was intrigued. I was intrigued by the idea, how could someone as bright as I knew Scott to be become Catholic? It was just bewildering. And then I was also intrigued at how little I knew about the genuine case that can be made for the Catholic faith. I thought, how could I have gone all the way through seminary and been a serious student of theology all these years and not know more about that? Anyway, the very next day, I tracked Scott down, got him on the phone, and we began to talk. And the short version is that over the course of 3.5 years, talking to Scott, talking to many other people, reading every book that I could get my hands on, I became convinced that Catholicism was nothing more than historic, authentic Christianity. And in the autumn of 1996, I resigned my ministry to enter the Catholic Church. And I can remember that when I stood Easter Vigil of 1997, when I stood at St. Charles Borromeo in North Hollywood, and the Monsignor made the sign of the cross on my forehead and said, "Be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit," it was really, truly one of the most profoundly happy moments of my entire life.